with this particular character, I just wanted him to be a 22-year-old American kid he's highly skilled, but he has this uncontrollable ability to not only communicate with the dead, but be possessed by the dead when he wants to be, or at least ask for help, and he was raised, you know, Baptist, Northern Georgia Baptist. So when he's in that one scene at the hangar, and he's being just decimated, he's being beat up left and right. He has no idea if he's going to survive that day. He actually prays to God on his way out. It's a brief little prayer, but he prays to God. And who appears? Who appears? Well, it's somebody that was sent to him to protect him, and that's Munlo Ip, um, the the British intelligence,
Right.
former triad master, who possesses him and then just
Fights
um,
back.
takes over his movements, yeah, and then takes over the day. Um, and I had so much fun writing that scene. It was just a lot of fun
Yeah.
because you know I thought at that point in time I was kind of okay. So I'm encapsulating a little horror here, some some great kung fu, and some blood, and some of the pulp action that I love so much.
You know, I
Um,
I do like the humor part of it.
yeah,
And I, I'm trying to think of a super hero, for lack of a better term. But if this guy is taking in, ghosts and then have him take over his body, uh, which I have a story I need to tell you about in a little bit. The I don't remember, I don't recall any stories that were comedies. What was that guy, the greatest American hero, or
right,
you know, look at what's happened to me.
right, yeah, yeah, sure.
You know, that was a straight comedy in the 80s. And do you lean one way or another? I mean, you said you wanted to
Well,
make
I
it more
was
drama and thriller because other
that's what
people have said that.
that's what I yeah, I mean that's really what I was trying to that's really what I was trying to
You were
flesh out.
going for that originally.
Yeah, originally I
Okay.
was trying to flesh that out, but the little comedic stuff, I mean, I was trying to, I think at that time I was being a little Deadpool-esque with the
Yeah,
one-liners and that kind of thing. So I
that's
kind of
that's
pulled some of that
interesting.
back. Yeah, I had a
But
little
that, I
thing.
mean, Deadpool, for all its violence and all its gore, is still a comedy.
It's
I mean, it
it's still
is,
and they call it a dark comedy, but
yeah, and
yeah,
which I love. And there's only one man on the planet, in my opinion, that could pull it off, and they found him.
you're right.
Maybe there are unknown actors that could do it, but he's very
I
unique.
understand what I'm seeing a lot of now, especially since the current administration is gone, and we're starting to get more into accountability and investigations. I'm seeing. I was watching The Lioness with Zoe Saldana. She's in a. She found herself with her team, which is a hit team, in a warehouse filled with trafficked children, just trafficked children everywhere, and they were trying to get they said stay here, and they went out and they just eliminated everybody, all the cartel, and then you see the kids basically slowly leaving leaving the warehouse, but had to be like 100 of them that were just stored there like cattle,
Yeah.
like boxes. Um and and we're seeing more and more of that. I think this Dieter Tully, the whole child trafficking and aspect of Dieter Tully was, um, it, I was influenced a little bit by that movie, You Were Never Here with Joaquin. Oh my God,
Oh
how can I
yeah,
forget
yeah, yeah.
Joaquin? talk about two ends of the spectrum. I mean, my God, he's about it looked to be like 80 pounds heavier in You Were Never Here.
Right.
And then you go to the other side of the spectrum and he is like, all I did was eat an apple a day and some asparagus. And he got down to like,
Yeah.
real skinny Joker. So I mean, it just tells you, I mean, this the gift this guy has is
Yeah.
unbelievable. I mean, amazing. So I took those influences, and that was one of the reasons I wanted to bring attention to it, man, because um, I think it's got to be every FBI's fantasy, every agent's fantasy, every cop's fantasy to get their hands on one of these people, and that's why we had such a bloody mess at the very in Act Three of Peter Tully.
Well, there's no doubt that human trafficking is going to be the number one concept topic
Yeah,
of 2025. It
yeah,
probably was in 2024 as well. And that mirrors the news because, look at P. Diddy, you know,
yeah.
uh, when who would have thought, who would have thunk, badunk, that the
This
most famous man on the planet, I mean, arguably, but and I knew billionaires and
Yeah.
doing, being involved in this and having this power of money and guns to control the, to have it go on for years under, with knowledge of certain police officers, certain FBI guys, this stuff goes all the way.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I think you're on a great task here with Dieter. Um, I wanted to go through the first 20 pages
Yeah.
with you, and I'm going to share it
Yeah. Yeah.
and get, you know, uh, these are the things that are, they need to be corrected, but they are also, I call them speed bumps because they really, at least, they will affect you, affect the reader,
Right.
and assuming the reader is a producer
Right. Right.
or a PA, and they're gonna stop and what is this all about?
Right.
Um,
Right. Now, I one of the things I don't have in there is, and I just put back in where were the continueds, because
okay,
yeah, there's some continueds in there that should be in there. That for whatever reason
you
I
mean
didn't
in
have
the
it toggled.
dialogue continued?
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
have it toggled, and there should
okay,
be okay. Yeah, so okay, so there are continueds in there. All
yeah,
right.
at least
So
some of them, but you know, I didn't even look at that. Um, to be honest, it didn't strike. You have an old version of
a
uh,
final
uh,
draft.
yeah, Final Draft, I suppose.
Yeah,
I
I
think I
need a
have
new version.
13 now. I went from 9 to 13.
I
So
think I've got 12. I think this is 12, but
I don't
maybe
ever
not.
remember it being fading on this side though. But I didn't have 12, but
No,
maybe they switched because I don't think 13 has it. Maybe it does. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
right on.
Um, so we'll breeze right through this. Overall, you have a 204 word count per page average, which is a bit high. Obviously, we're targeting 150 to 180. And I think you do have a tendency to overwrite. And now that I found out, after going to your website, I see that you have a book. I'm I'm not surprised that you overwrite in the screenplay.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter which one comes first.
yeah, yeah.
It's the matter of what your brain goes to first.
Right.
Here we have, and I highlight the issues I want to discuss. Small rural home. Um, every word is important for the word count, and really what it brings to the picture, brings to the story. So I don't think small is really it really adds anything.
Sure.
Uh, you know, I think the way you describe the home here, basically, you have a 3-year-old that's running around the home by himself because his mother's dead.
Yeah, it's safe to just put interior rural home day, and I also implemented your last notes that you gave me was multi-scene headings. And that's the updated one that you don't have yet.
Right. Okay. Now we have a super, and I didn't know offhand who Lauren Stasi is. That's you're introducing a name when the character is not introduced.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
so I would not, I don't think the that whole super is necessary. Uh, you could, what I would do here is exterior, and you have rural home, Grayland, Georgia, or excuse me, Grayland, Georgia hyphen rural home hyphen day 1999.
Gotcha.
That's it would all be on the exterior. And then you could have one or two lines of description of, it's a rundown home in total disrepair, looks like a crack house,
Right.
overgrown weeds. It's not farmland like you might that is surrounding her. We know that there are farms, surrounding her, or um, vineyards, or whatever, the where he ended up.
Better description.
So
Yeah, a better description of the home look of the home.
just however you picture it, I'm not often do you start off a movie inside a place. There's always what they call it an establishing shot, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be an establishing shot, but you can. It's it establishes where you are in the world and the time period. And if it's current day, then you don't have to indicate anything else. Um, you're indicating 1999 to give it, kind of a flashback feel. And obviously, you can't have a flashback on something that hasn't been established yet. So
Right.
we have, it is, you're telling us 20 years ago that this story started 20 years ago. Now, I'm wondering, does that even, does it have to be, does it have to start out that way? What is your mind's purpose in establishing that his mother died and he was adopted by this family that found him?
Well, I mean, the idea there was I was going to introduce
A spirit,
yeah, I was going to introduce a spirit. I wanted to introduce Dieter being led by a spirit at an early age. So the audience automatically understood, like, whoa. And the gray little girl who's standing in the dining room, real close to the kitchen doorway, the kitchen arch, pointing at the stove. She's kind of half in and half out. She's got half of her face up against the wall
right?
and the other half actually exposed, and she's pointing at the stove. So when Dieter looks in his little mind's eye, he looks at this gray little girl who's maybe just a few years older than him and is kind of taken back. But then he whips around, looks at the stove, and he's 3 years old, doesn't really know what's happening, and he sees the flames from a lit dish rag. That we don't know if this spirit set it on fire. We don't know if it's somebody that had just a malcontent, and they came through the house when Dieter was in his room and and put a needle in his mom's arm and she's sitting there with poison in her system. We don't know. We don't know. And I wanted that question to be in the in the audience's mind, like, well, how does she die? Is that it appears to be an
That
overdose.
never that none of that occurred to me. Uh,
Okay.
it was uh, it was self-explanatory, but it came more clear when we find her dead with from an injection.
Right.
And you know, she's a drug addict, and she ODs. Uh, unless you're saying that she was murdered.
Right, right. And the idea when I started out with this was, okay, I'm going to introduce a villain later on that had something to do with that. The
Okay,
villain never manifested himself or herself. And so then I thought, okay, well, the audience at least can see Dieter Tully having something to do with spirits. He's they're already influencing him, directing him, as if they've been waiting for him all this time. And they're trying to direct him out and away from danger into the arms of the Tullys. And that was what I was trying to achieve here. And there's a couple little hints in there as well. I've got a spirit animal jumping away from behind a flat red ball that
right.
supposedly that that spirit is has her
Wasn't it a
hands on
puppy?
it. Yeah, the little puppy. That's a spirit animal through the whole damn thing. And that spirit animal shows up in 1999, shows up again in 2018 in the first act, and then in the third act at the very end. And
Yeah.
he's a little bigger because and a little mature because Dieter's a little bigger and a little mature now, from experience that he's gone through. So that was the kind of thing. And I don't know, some of that stuff can be confusing at the very beginning, but those were little hints that I put in there.
Well, I again finding out that she OD'd, and that was my assumption when
Yep.
you see her and there. You said there's a hypodermic with poison. Um, you know,
Yeah, if there
uh,
was a hypodermic with poison, then yeah, we would know that it was like foul play, but
right.
we don't know that yet
But I
because
didn't. I also didn't know if that's what you were calling heroin or
right.
crack or whatever. Whatever they might inject.
I
Um,
tried to write it from Dieter's POV, you know. Can't
oh,
wake up his mom. He's hungry. There's smoke.
yeah.
It's hot. Yeah.
All that is good.
Yeah.
I don't want to dwell on this opening scene other than I wanted to get an idea. Is it can we start somewhere else? But I like the scene. I mean,
Awesome.
it's good. It's a good opening. Um, the you know we'll have to see how it cleans up and see how the young girl. I never liked characters being described as young girl, young boy, fat, little, or, I like them to have names. I think there's no reason, if it's 1999, there's no reason to call him young Dieter. His name is Dieter.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that's a good point.
And, um, later to 2023 or whenever he's at his job, 2018, I think you said,
Yeah.
you could have Dieter and then in parentheses 23,
I think
which is his age.
I labeled him young Dieter because there's another scene later on where he's not a baby anymore, but he's a first grader or kindergartner. I need to separate the two characters from adult Dieter and
You do that with the age, and you do
okay,
that with
excellent,
the
excellent.
year. And
Okay,
obviously if Dieter is running around, he's in diapers. He's a
right,
3-year-old in diapers, right? Pull-ups or
right.
whatever,
Yep,
dirty
yep,
diapers because the
right.
Mrs. Tully smelled him. And so let's fast forward here. Again, small living room. You know, I don't think that's necessary. Young Dieter's front yard. It's not his, it's not his house, but
Right. Yeah, that's
the
another.
front yard is fine. And my ball, that's good. Fronting dirt road. Now this is what confused me because I'm seeing the Tully Peach Grove and her name is Viola Tully, and I'm thinking his name is Dieter Tully because of the title. I didn't see
Right.
anything that indicated Lauren Stassi
Well,
as
that was it.
being
That
his
was the other
mother.
thing too. I had my original idea was to have a an open letter addressed to Dominic Stasi, or the parents addressed to the parents of Dominic Stasi. And I kind of just I moved away from that because I think I was just trying to shed, I was trying to shed uh, um, uh, I was trying to shed some wordage and
Wordly.
descriptions, and I was trying to just basically chisel it down. But that might be a good idea just to put something brief in there, on the coffee table in front of his mom, his dead mom. There's a open letter addressed to the parents of Dominic Stasi from
Who's
the
Dominic
Department
Stasi?
of Defense. That could be Dieter Tully. That could be the young Dieter. I don't know.
Well, I think it's making it even more confusing.
It would be make it
Stasi
more confusing. Okay.
is what is that? German or Italian
I,
or
I
Polish?
it could be Polish. Yeah, it could be Polish. I mean, I've got a backstory on Lauren Stasi and who she was married to. So there's a backstory I had for that, and I think I intertwined that in here. But yeah, to get rid of the Stasi home, you're absolutely right. I think that makes sense. And um, but if we go
But
back to, go ahead. I'm sorry.
if he's going to be, I don't care what last name you call him, uh, but you call him that at in the first where it has his age, young Dieter, yeah, and you don't call him young, Dieter Stasi, three, blah 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 blah, and then now he's Dieter Stasi,
Okay.
and later he becomes Dieter Tully, which is the title of the character, and that's
Okay.
all perfectly fine. Uh, so we get that now. So
Yep.
you know, maybe later when he's in school, he's introduced as Dieter Tully, and we can figure out that he was adopted, or you have a brief scene of an adoption, or they get Viola gets the mail and she opens it and says, you're officially ours, Dieter, or something,
That's good. Yeah.
just the it's usually these very short, quick things that tie up these big, confusing stories that, you know, how often do you watch a movie and see the camera focus in on a book,
Right.
something, or a ribbon,
Right.
or a shoe, and you turn to your partner and you say, that's going to mean something in a little bit. It's going to be huge. And of course, throughout the movie, you kind of forget about it. But being a writer, you always have it in the back of your mind that they didn't zoom in on that for no reason at all.
Right. There's a reason for that.
And you'll figure it out before anybody else in the room because that's the way you think that, oh, that's where the ribbon comes in, or that's where that book is important. And you've got the story and you know who the bad guy is and everything. And that's it. It kind of takes the fun out of watching movies because I know it does for me because I'm always
Right.
thinking ahead.
Right. Right.
Okay, but I've been fooled. Lars certainly fooled me. that there were parts of that that just fooled me right out. Okay, so we'll go on. So now, and this was kind of surprising. She sees a half mile away. She sees something on fire. Well, it's a house at this point,
Yeah, it's a
and
house. Yeah.
and
And it's
I don't think it would be confused with a debris burn. Um, I thought she would grab the boy and run, kind of put two and two together and
well,
run.
he's on the well, here's the thing. He's gone through like two large pieces of orchard and he's now on the side of the orchard that is close to the Tully the Tully residence.
Right.
And but he's walked at least, three-quarters of a mile
Okay.
because this spirit has freaking led him and kept hold of his ball, and so he's walked his little legs. So and so she's and it's really we don't know the magnitude of the burn. We don't know how much the house is not smoldering or smoldering. So I just kind of I need it, and it's she's surrounded by farms, and farms have debris. They burn debris all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So I was now I can switch that up and make it just more coalescing. Like she just kind of shrugs it off and thinks of it as a debris burn. That is, we could I could we can call it well. That's why I put a small smoke plume.
I
Yeah.
I think there's an opportunity here to add a little bit of action, add thriller, excitement. Let's say she had a beat up truck at the
Right.
vineyard that she's filling up the back with apples or peaches or whatever.
Right.
And she's a black woman,
Right.
and I don't know how old she is. I think she's 53, so she wouldn't be running necessarily anyway. So she's an old 53. It's a hard life. So, but she says something like, "I wonder where you came from, little boy. Where the hell did you come from?" It says right here. I don't even have to give you the line. It says it
Right.
right there.
Where the hell did you come
Where
from?
the hell did you fucking come from?
Right.
We
Right.
need to get you washed up.
Right.
And then she smells him, and oh, you smell like a fireplace, or you
Oh, that's
smell
a good
like a
idea.
fire,
Yeah. Yeah.
something like that, because they're gonna have smoke,
Right.
that smoke smell. And then she kind of peers out and looks and sees the flames, and she realizes it's not a debris burn.
Right.
She's got a kid at least, 3/4 of a mile, as you say, probably. And she's not stupid. So she throws the kid in the truck, obviously not, but she puts him in the truck, puts seatbelt on him, gets in, and drives like a crazy person to the house. The house is fully engulfed, and there's nothing she can do. And then we hear sirens. It's 1999. It's not the back in the old days. So, we hear sirens of fire fire trucks and sheriffs or whatever. And that's how the scene ends. Okay? That's we put it together that she has found this person, that she's found the baby of this person, and the house is up in flames. And it's easy to know that it was accidental.
Right.
He didn't have anything to do with it. The baby didn't, and the spirits didn't.
Right.
Um, so I think it kind of it just it's a good opening scene.
I
What do
could
you think?
I love it. No, no,
Okay.
I can incorporate that. There's a follow-up scene later in the it really is it's a flashback scene later that Justine shows Dieter exactly, how he came to be with, with his
New
adopted,
family, right?
yeah, his adopted family. And so I can tie that in
Yeah.
to what takes place in that scene and just kind of um, really overlap that flashback scene to this, which later on when they see the flashback scene, it ties together and they're like, oh, okay, that's what happened, and oh, that's no, that's really great. Must have
Okay.
used
Um, Now we have I don't know why you're not the only one, but I don't know why people have used gentrified to describe
it. Yeah,
certain things. Uh, I don't know. I really don't know. It's an extra word. Um, Dallas
renovated.
neighborhood, you
Yeah,
know,
I don't know. Well, they used gentrified because it used to be a low income neighborhood or community, and now it's flourishing.
well,
So
it's
I don't
middle
know.
class. It's not
It's middle
flourishing, but
class. Yeah.
does the fact that it was lower low class at one time or low income at one
It
time,
probably went. It probably went from middle class to lower class, and then back to middle class again. Who knows? Yeah.
I just and the supers, I think, if you want to do them, that's fine. They're okay to use. Again, extra word weight, uh, but it's okay. But you have to do them right.
You're right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
quotes are not right. It's a super is, um, well, it's what we're going to see on on the screen. Um,
I have a
Again,
feeling that
you've
you're.
already said
Yeah.
we have if you're going to do a super, I would suggest that the super goes before the location, above the exterior, okay, as a shot.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. It's in the wrong placement.
Yeah.
There again. Yeah. There's an updated copy that you haven't
Okay.
seen yet, and this part has been corrected.
When you say updated, this was my updated, the last copy that I got. So, um, I mean, I didn't go through the wrong. You haven't sent the updated one, right?
No, I haven't.
Okay, good. All
Yeah.
right. We're
No.
on the same page,
Yeah.
literally.
Yep.
Um, Now, this is where you have really good humor, um, with
Yeah.
with Krabby and things like that. That's
The
cool. I like animals. I love animals, and as far as a movie is concerned, I think it's important to the character because he's not really personable
yeah.
because he's so smart and he's got these psychological issues, and people basically think he's weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not, he may not be, I mean, he's got a weird name. Again, the best name I've ever heard. Um, and I think you're not going to have a Zac Efron play him. That
Right.
wouldn't fit the character.
Right. Right.
I think this guy has to be, more Napoleon Dynamite than Zac Efron.
I
You
would.
know what I mean?
Yeah. I had. We always go through. We always go through a cast in our head. There's always a living cast in our head. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm watching Cobra Kai, and I see the kid who plays Hawk. Jacob Bertrand. But this kid, he's got like everything I've been looking for in Dieter Tully. He's in his
How old
20.
is he?
He's I think in real life he's 22. He's 23. So he's like right there. Um, and this is the kid who's dating Peyton List, you know, in real life, and he's but he's in my mind that was the guy that I had in mind
Good.
when I was
I,
when I
I,
was running through this.
I like the fact that you have an actor in mind. It always makes the the writing for me. It makes it very easy.
Yeah,
If
it
I know
does.
them, and I probably have told you, Ricky Gervais and Adam
Right.
Sandler, these guys that I know, and they're easy to write in their voice because I've heard it so often.
Right.
Um, you know, it's I know what word how they're going to say something was, like you said, sarcastic or something. And I don't know this guy that you're talking about, but you do. And when you see it and you say, "Oh my God, that's my Dieter Tully. That's
Yeah.
fantastic." And he sounds like a cast a person that could be casted. Uh,
Well, he's best friends with Sholo Maridueña, Blue Beetle. Remember the Blue Beetle that came out?
I know the movie. I've not
Yeah,
seen it, but
that's the kid. That's the kid who played Blue Beetle. And these guys, they've got their own podcast called Los Lobos, and they are and so every once in a while I'll dial into that podcast, and it's really funny. These kids are they're really talented dudes.
you're really hip to the current
Trying to.
world.
You want to if you got somebody in mind, you want to get the inflections of their voices, and you want to
Exactly what I was saying. Yep.
yeah, and you really
So
want to look and see what they're what they're into, and they're good people. They're good, they're good at
good.
they're turning out to be really great actors.
I'm going to do some research on him.
Yeah.
Um, but I do love his relationship with the cat and um,
Yeah, excellent.
interior exterior. The purpose of that is when you have the same basic scene that takes place in and outside of the car. So if you have him coming out of a house and he's well, in this case it's interior first and exterior, but I didn't see anything exterior. Um, other, you have Maxie outside of the car. So I'm not a fan of the interior exterior or exterior
Gotcha.
interior, but it's useful when you're doing a shot
Yeah.
where or there's a camera shot, not a liquor shot, where you're shooting inside and outside the car. If
Consecutively. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or one following the other, where you don't have to do another. Bonnie and Clyde get shot on the inside. He falls outside.
Gotcha.
She stayed inside, or something of that nature.
I
So,
because yeah,
uh,
I thought I had an exterior. Um,
um,
yeah.
and the voiceover chopping news. Now, some of this stuff may have been. I don't know if I cut and pasted it into Final Draft. I don't think so, but you're going to see a few things later on that you'll have to tell me if it came from you or if it happened on my watch. Um,
Gotcha.
Console is spelled wrong. Uh, again,
Yeah.
you're describing an action that can be done in a few words. We
Yeah.
don't have to go into he reaches into his console, pulls out his medicine bottle while weaving, you know. Uh, so
Just keep it basic and
you can
short.
cut that down considerably. Come on is not hyphenated. Um, Pops a few pills, great, because we know he's having what we believe is a psychotic event, right?
Yep. Yep.
He's starting to see things, and now it kind of, our mind, at least in my case, it drifted back to the girl at the house when it was on fire.
Right.
So we know because initially that could be confusing, and it will be confusing. But I think around if the producer gets to page 5, he starts seeing these things, um, then they may be able to put it together. Um, Dieter's car, we never left his car, so I mean, it's car, car, car. He's in his car the whole time. So you're in the interior of the car. There's no need for another scene heading.
Interior Dieter's car. Okay.
The state trooper um, doesn't stop him, doesn't do anything, and
State
he
trooper's
slows.
present. I mean, let me ask you about that too, because it I put the state trooper there because I thought, okay, that'd be kind of funny to just put a state trooper you going through his his date app, his dating app, and but Dieter sees him and is scared he's going to get pulled over, that kind of thing. But if if I mean, if I can, would it just make sense to just put, state trooper vehicle? He sees a state trooper vehicle and then slows down, that kind of thing.
I mean, why? Why a state trooper at all? Um, at some point
Well, he's late for he's
he's
afraid he's
got to
going to be
slow
late for
down. I
he's
mean,
got to slow down.
it doesn't say how fast he's going.
Yeah.
Uh, so I didn't even know that was an issue. Um, do we have anything on this that says he was doing 100 miles an hour? I mean, is that what you want? Do you want to
Yeah, maybe I mean that's just I got to think about that. Is traffic.
let me suggest this. Um, First of all, you thought it was funny to have the state trooper swiping Tinder. Uh,
Right.
that's that's a 10-year-old joke, and it's it's not worth an entire setup
Right.
to shoot interior, exterior,
Yeah.
all the costs of that just for a joke that's not going to land. Um,
Right.
but let's say part of his Dieter's physical response to the psych events, I'll call them psych events for now,
Right.
is that he gets revved up. He gets excited. Not happy excited, but overly, and his foot, hits the gas pedal harder. So he's tooling along. All of a sudden he starts seeing he gets anxious.
Right.
He's having an anxiety attack. And you don't slow down when you have an anxiety attack. Everything speeds up. So I could see him now, racing, and then you could have a an insert of the miles per hour going from 40 to 70, maybe passing slow pickup trucks from the farms, and maybe a driver in one of those trucks cursing him, "Slow down, you son of a bitch."
Right. Yeah.
It coincides with this where if we can make sure that we're consistent, that every time he has a psychotic event, the same things happen. Either he sweats or he's cold. In this case, he's everything speeds up.
Beating. Yeah.
His speaking is speeding up. His hand,
It's
he
yeah,
loses dexterity. He'll drop pills.
we're building momentum and yeah, who knows? Maybe there's a heartbeat that's a
Oh,
voice.
it definitely. I mean, this is
Yeah.
your world. You've
Yeah.
created it, so you can make it anything you want.
Yeah.
And if it's heartbeat and his breathing, and that's how his closer friends that know he has this issue, how they can determine, um, like his Danzig and Dietrich and all these other guys. But we'll talk about that. So, uh, Desi. Okay, here's an
Desi.
issue I had. You have Henry Danzig, you have Desi, and you have Dieter.
I
Now,
got a lot of
what's
D's.
wrong with this
I got a
picture?
lot of D's in
Yes.
I don't
You,
know where these names are. I can switch that up. That's easy.
yeah,
Yeah, that's easy.
you shouldn't have the same letter for, especially main characters or even sub characters. Um,
Gotcha.
so just something to put on your list of things to do. Um, Some of this was just technical stuff. Um, okay, I need you to head up this team, son. Um, I mean, this guy's relying a lot on Dieter, and that's good. And he explains that he's just been there a couple of weeks, and then he goes into his past. Um, I liked it. I it was a little bit confusing prior to us. You were, I don't think he would talk like that. I think he would say, "Hey, you were the head of the department at Aces, or whatever,
Right.
Aces Intel, our competitor. Prior to that, you were at MIT."
It should be a little bit more of a just an easy, I want to say, swale into that department lead at Aces Intel. You know, do I have to remind you that prior to us, you were department lead at Aces Intel?
Right.
You know,
And I wouldn't. Son, what do you think of me if I'm asking you to do this? And if I thought you couldn't do it, I wouldn't ask you.
yeah. And he's a little reluctant. He's 2 weeks in. He's still trying to learn his job. Um,
Oh, I
and
know he's reluctant, but
yeah, yeah, and
he's
he's
not in charge.
right.
Your
That's right.
boss tells you,
That's right.
and the fact is, he knows he's smart enough to do it. He's being a bit humble, and he's scared
Right.
because he's 22. You know,
Right.
even though he went to MIT, he's not one of these big-headed, fatheads, egotistical people. And when he gives a speech on how to do this stuff, and he was very subtle on his, well, we could fix it if we didn't have this other thing that you guys already tried. It's kind of a subtle dig. You know
It
what I'm
was.
talking about? Do you
Well,
remember?
yeah, yeah. No, it
Yeah.
was because I needed him to step up and say, well, listen, okay, if you want to do this, because he's been up against this before in his
Right.
career.
If you're going to do this right.
Right.
Do it the way I tell you because that it's right.
Right.
And he's got to own that. He's got to own that. But that's the only place he owns this ego. He's bad with women. He's bad in
Right.
socializing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Everything is cool here. This is an insert. This is how I like to do them because they kind of stand out.
Okay.
Now, when all is said and done, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bold all our
All the inserts.
scene headings.
Okay, scene headings. Now, is
Only,
that for all scene headings or just that
yeah,
particular one?
and I only do this now because it's kind of the thing. It does look better. It's easier to scroll, easier
Okay.
to go from scene to scene. Basically, I'm still a
That's
old
for all. I mean, you bold all the scene headings, right?
all the anything that's justified to
Okay.
this side, yes, except for action lines.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Gotcha.
yeah, so yeah, but all scene headings. That's it. But because insert is a scene heading, I also go ahead and I bold and center. Now to do that, you do that, put it in general
Right.
in the formatting. It's if you look here, that's can you see that up there?
Yes.
Am
Yep.
I still in share?
You
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Okay. Can you see the general?
Yep.
Okay. Um, so that's what I like to do here, and I make it even because I'm ace.
Yeah.
But I like to have everything just squared.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I agree.
So
I love it.
so that's how I do that, and I give it kind of pops out, and it's a screen text, so it's going to stand out. Um, Now, again, if it's on the computer, so I assume it's a DM.
Right.
If it's a phone, it's going to be a phone screen text. So, all right. So, and of course, he doesn't know what a Snuggie is, which is just adds to his uh,
Right.
personality. Um, Everything is cool here. All right, this got a little. I don't think I highlighted it. Where did I go to the highlight? Okay. I'll just cover this while we're here. Danzig speaks twice in a row. Nothing separating. Um, that wouldn't happen. I mean, you have to have an action line or descriptive
Gotcha.
line or something to separate the two.
Gotcha.
So I think when you wrote it, you probably had it and then took it out. That's usually how it happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Strange children. Okay, now all right, we have these boys who you have this kid and you just call him little boy. Does he have a name?
Well, he should be Dieter. Okay. That's the little boy. And I was trying to
Oh, I did not put that together.
yeah, yeah. This is Dieter. This is young Dieter. He's in kindergarten. And this young Dieter shows up. He shows up later on when Justine reveals shows what happened to her daughter. And this very same young Dieter here is staring back at him in the back of a bus with a black eye because of what one of these kids did to him. So he's um so there's a
So is
because
this a
he's looking, he's
flashback?
watching this. I mean, really, it is a flashback.
Prior to this, Danzig has had no interaction with Justine. Prior to this in the script.
Correct.
Okay, so yeah, at some instead of them just being um, see-through spirits, ooh, and all
Right.
that.
Right.
That's how like the girl at the
Right.
house, that's what she was. She was
Exactly.
kind of transparent, opaque, and gray-faced, and all that, and that's fine. She was just a kind of a ghost-like figure because he's a baby. He doesn't know anything.
Right.
And but later, you know, the reason why she's able to move the chairs and make noise and he doesn't see anything is because she's a ghost. And then boom, you know, it would be cool if you described it, he sees this see-through translucent figure and then slowly more what's the word?
Develops into a corporeal
Morph
form.
morph into a
Right.
human person.
And I
So
kind
she's
of
a good witch.
yeah.
That's for
Yeah, well,
lack of a
she's the mother of a trafficked child who was killed.
got it.
And she's dead herself.
Yeah.
And she's using him to change the future for other children.
Now, where does Danzig come into this? Because you say this whole elementary school bus scene is a dream in Danzig's head, but he's not mentioned anywhere. So I don't know how I would have known that.
Well,
And I
he's
didn't.
so he's well, no, he's in the scene earlier that day. So he's introduced.
Oh, I know Danzig is the character. I know he's been introduced, but you said that specifically that this was a kind of like a flashback, and then you said no, it was more of a dream that's been put into Danzig's head.
Well, yes, yes, that's what this is. I mean, and I don't know. So yeah, so Dieter
Okay,
was at the end of it.
where do we see that?
We don't. Yeah, we don't. I kind of just I created the next scene as if it was happening in real time. and we don't realize it. It's not a real scene until it's because there is
Right.
no we really don't realize it until at the very end where he gets up. So there's some work there that I can get done
Yeah.
that would
One
absolutely
point you have
flesh that
to,
out.
one thing you have to keep in mind at all times. I know what you want to do. You're
Right,
describing it very clearly to me, how you want it to look and how you want it, what you want it to say. But clarity is king in these screenplays.
yep,
If there's any point where, a producer is, and all this is designed for the producer. If
right,
there's any point where a producer gets confused, page 5, page 55, page 105, they're going to toss it.
right.
Now, if they get to 105 and it's only 110 pages, um, you've done pretty well, and they'll probably, tell you to redo the ending or something like that. So they might give you a shot. But anything earlier, once they lose track, they lose interest. They have too many other things. So
Right.
I did not know this was Dieter. I did not know this was the past. I thought this was happening at this time. And
So that's got to get cleared.
you
Up.
could
Yeah.
leave it as it is and have people believe it's only that time. Because we've seen this in movies before
Right.
where we see a scene and then later our character either has a flashback to that scene and then we realize, oh shit, that was him the whole time,
Right.
you know?
Yeah,
But
that
we
was what I
don't
was
know
trying to.
that throughout the
Yeah.
whole movie that
Yeah.
this guy witnessed his father's murder, you know? We don't know why he acts a certain way, but he just does.
This is has everything to do with Dieter's protected. It's got everything to do with Dieter is completely protected. You can't F with Dieter. He's protected by the entire purgatory world. And they because they have plans for him, you know.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
they got
now I see the series aspect of it.
yes. So it's and that's why these children from like 1918 show up in the bus and they're straightforward and they're not looking anywhere but I mean just eerie shit. You'll
Yeah, it's
walk
a
on the bus,
children of the corn type
yeah,
thing.
children of the corn, but they're like just completely like straightforward. They're not even looking at you because they're ghosts themselves. And these kids get on, they're giggling and they're having a good time. And this is the kid that, whipped his freaking knife out and cut Dieter and blasted him in the eye. And his friends, his evil friends are with him. And we don't show, child on child violence or anything like that. But you get a good idea when the bus driver is like unconscious somewhere in the parking lot. And these kids, start going back and start confronting these bullies. And we get a good idea as to what it's all about. And then later on you find out, oh man, that's that's little Dieter in the back of that bus looking at himself, witnessing the abduction of Heidi. So that was the idea. But this part I can absolutely clean up and make sure it's just a little bit more telling and a little bit more understanding that, yeah, this is Justine manipulating and showing and showing and revealing to Danzig, to Henry Danzig, who I'm going to change. I just like the word. I like the name Danzig. It's one of my favorite bands, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's where well, we have different tastes in music for sure, but it's a good name. It's a good name. Any name with a Z in it, I think, is pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
call him Zadek, Henry Zadek. I'll just
no,
call him Zadek.
no.
Yeah,
Danzig and Dieter, they're both very German sounding. Um, so you might, yeah, you're gonna have to change, I think.
I got to change something.
Uh, You could find out whatever the lead singer's name is, Danzig, and use his name.
Yeah, there we go.
Thelma is kind of an old timey name. I don't know any Thelmas today.
Right.
I'm trying,
I was just thinking of like in Chicopee. Chicopee's a made up place, you know?
right?
And I was trying to think of a like because I was trying to think of like Southern names that are used like once every 18 years.
Generation, yeah.
Yeah, once a generation, you know. So
And
I was
named after their great great grandmother or
yeah.
something. Yeah, I mean, they're out there. I don't, it's okay. She's just a girl. Um, does other other than the punch in the eye, are there any marks on Dieter?
Well, there's a scar, there's a cut on his hand, on the top of his hand by Peter's knife.
In this scene? That's where the
Yes.
blood is on his
Yes.
knife? Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Um, does it have to be his hand? What if it was like on his chin or in his neck? Because I think if you do this scene the way it is, and then next scene is a close up of the scar on his neck where we just saw him get cut.
Maybe it's a small cut behind his ear, you know, something that, you know, we can call out later. Um,
Well, I think we do it right away,
yeah.
or maybe not until later. If that's what you, if you want to delay the reveal that this is Dieter, that
Yeah, yeah.
benefits you and it
That was the
benefits.
idea. That was the idea, but I don't know. I kind of like now that you're talking about it, I kind of like that we call out that scar. You know what I mean?
That way we put the two together and say, oh,
Yeah.
shit, that was him.
Let's use it. I kind of
So
like it.
it might clear things up. But you said you know, so that part needs work.
Yeah,
And we went really long.
we did.
Let's
We
do
sure
the
did.
podcast another time.
Okay, yeah.
And but I think we accomplished a lot. And so clarity is king. Make these other little changes that we talked about, and uh,
I
we're
had a
almost
question.
there.
I had a question about character description. Is it is it better to, I don't know if this really applies for spec scripts, but versus shooting scripts. Is when is it important to put like the race of a character in the description of the character? Like like you know, Tully, skinny, white, 22, computer savant. When is it when is it important to do that? Is it important to do that in the spec script? So
Oh yeah, yeah.
okay,
And just a few, a few were trim, athletic. Those are the word, just one word to describe body type. Uh, but anything that stands out, that's relatable to the character. If he's 22 and he's balding, that is going to be a big issue to a
sure,
22-year-old.
sure,
So he
yeah,
might be wearing hats, he might be getting a toupee, he might do a bad comb over. There are all sorts of things. I didn't have that problem, you know.
right.
Um, I was blessed with a full head of hair. So you want the physical attributes to make sense to the character, and if it could, add to that, if a chubby kid with thick glasses and a curly, unkempt hair, no, head of hair.
Right. Nest of
You know,
hair. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would see as probably sloppy but brilliant,
Right.
because they don't
Right.
care about their physical looks.
I know. There. I know. Yeah.
They're into science and or computers, and now back then it was science. So and girls, ooh,
Right.
what's his name? The guy from Wolf of Wall Street, Jonah Hill made an entire career
I
on
know.
that
Right. Yeah. He
character.
made it. Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Oh my God.
He ended up losing weight because they're driven by the fact he didn't want to be that anymore.
Right.
So, but he would have had a fantastic. He has a great career, but he's one of my favorite actors. Um,
Me too.
you
Yeah.
know,
Me too. Been thinking about once I get this squared away, I might send it to you for an just for a look see. Um, I was thinking about approaching Trident Media. There's a literary manager there who I haven't talked to, I haven't met. She doesn't know anything about me, but she looks like one of these, has been in the business for over 20 years. Um, and uh, and I'm not reluctant to approach her, but I'd like to, and I'm not quite sure if it'd be something I'd be wasting my time with, and more focus on somebody who is brand new that wants to jump on projects right away. How do you usually approach that?
we talking about a book or the Dieter
Well,
Tully script?
Dieter Tully script, yeah,
Um, I would include her in your initial queries.
right,
Um,
okay.
do you have you been in communication with her? Is there a reason why you want
No,
to
no,
single
no,
her
I
out?
haven't even introduced my, she doesn't even know I exist yet. So I'm thinking about
But
just,
why are you thinking about her as opposed,
well, because I've seen the business that she's done. I have no I'm looking at the project she's been involved with,
okay,
uh, and stuff like that. So I did some research on her.
all right.
But I don't even know if she's taking on new clients. I have no idea. But
But
I
you
know
say new
this.
client. Is she a producer or is this a
She's a
manager?
literary, she's a literary, yeah, she's a lit manager for
Oh,
Trident
okay.
Media.
All
Yeah,
right.
she's a lit manager. I have, besides Dieter Tully, I've got two publications. I'm working on my third installation to the Churn series.
All right.
I went
That's
on
what we were going to
vacation,
talk about.
and so I've got um these works, and then there's another book that I'm playing with right now that I have in my mind, but I'm thinking about turning that out into a spec script, and that's called Red Streets. But I've run, man, I have kept you so long.
I love it. I don't, my wife's
That's
been in Guam for 5 months and she's not coming home until the end of this month. So
oh
me and Seaver, and that's all I talk to. So I really enjoy these. But
oh
and
that's great.
you've been such a dedicated follower, and you have so many nice, wonderful things to say. It makes me
Thank you.
wonder if you're an alcoholic. But
Right. Like I just the problem is that I get on I go on a Facebook, and then I watch my karate reels, because I love the karate reels because somebody's always kicking somebody or sweeping somebody.
right,
And then I head to, and you're on Facebook with me, and then I go on to I go and I say, okay, what's happening here on LinkedIn? And then you've got stuff on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ, that makes sense. All right, let me comment. And then there's stuff on IG that
I
I've
never
been
go
posting.
there.
Well, the only reason I go there is because I like to post stuff from little epitaphs in history that are given to us about the music industry, and about actors' little stories they have. Like, hey, you didn't see this, but Offset, I had a push-up competition with
Right.
with Channing Tatum, or some bullshit, right? And little stories that they tell, which is hilarious. Some of the stories are so funny, and those are the things that's really the things I post. And there's always some savant guitarist that I have to post because it's so cool. you know,
Well,
that's really
a
about,
lot of that stuff is on Reels and
yeah.
Facebook. But we'll do it again because I do want to do that podcast.